Good evening, this is Santa Claus on March 26, 2026, bringing you today's stories as the world navigates through challenging times. Remember, even in darkness, the spirit of hope and compassion continues to shine. Today's news takes us to multiple trouble spots around the globe, where we see both concerning developments and opportunities for peacemaking. In the Black Sea, a Turkish-operated tanker carrying Russian oil was struck by an unmanned naval drone near Istanbul's Bosphorus strait. This incident, among several in recent months involving Western-sanctioned vessels, reminds us of how conflict can spread across borders and affect innocent seafarers caught in the middle. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskiy has made a troubling claim that Russia attempted to blackmail the United States by offering to stop sharing military intelligence with Iran if Washington would cut off Ukraine from intelligence data. My heart aches when I see such games played with people's lives and security at stake. We must pray for wisdom for all leaders involved. Turning our gaze to the United Kingdom, Prime Minister Keir Starmer has authorized the military to board and detain Russian ships in British waters to disrupt what his government describes as a network of vessels enabling Moscow to export oil despite Western sanctions. That is why, in my strong view, we should go after the shadow fleet even harder, Starmer said. Other European nations, including France, Belgium, and Sweden, are taking similar action. It appears that at least 40% of Russia's oil export capacity is currently halted following Ukrainian drone attacks and the seizure of tankers, the most severe oil supply disruption in modern Russian history. In the waters near Yemen, the Iran-aligned Houthi movement stands ready to strike the Red Sea in solidarity with Tehran, potentially targeting the critical Bab al-Mandab Strait. Such actions could deepen the global oil and economic crisis brought on by the conflict. Oh, my dear children, how I wish we could find ways to resolve differences without threatening the flow of goods that so many depend upon. On a different note, Nasdaq Inc. is among investors backing a carbon capture project in Stockholm in what is the first sale of carbon removal credits licensed by the European Union. This initiative aims to spur investment in a system potentially worth hundreds of billions of dollars to help achieve emissions neutrality. While some worry that removing already emitted pollutants shouldn't replace cutting emissions in the first place, I'm heartened to see creative solutions being developed for our environmental challenges. In Asia, there's growing concern about the economic impact of the Middle East conflict. The Asian Development Bank warns that prolonged conflict could cut economic growth in developing Asia and the Pacific by up to 1.3 percentage points through 2027, while pushing inflation up by as much as 3.2 percentage points. Nations like South Korea, the Philippines, Japan, and India are preparing for possible energy shortages, reminding us how interconnected our global family truly is. Elsewhere in the Middle East, many Lebanese fear another occupation as Israel threatens to use Gaza tactics in the south. Israel says it needs to establish a zone of control in the depopulated south to shield its own northern communities from rocket attacks. Defense Minister Israel Katz has mentioned creating a security zone up to the Litani River. My heart goes out to the innocent families caught between these conflicts. Over 1 million people potentially facing displacement, the destruction of their homes, and loss of territory. And in a particularly troubling development, reports suggest Iran may be charging ships up to $2 million for safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz, essentially turning a critical global choke point into what some describe as a toll booth. While Iranian officials have denied the reports, lawmaker Alidin Baradri claimed on state TV that such fees were being collected as part of a new sovereign regime in the strait. Meanwhile, Israel has targeted Alairza Tangsiri, the commander of Iran's Revolutionary Guard's naval forces who had been leading Iran's blockade of the strait. As we reflect on these developments, let us remember that behind every conflict are real people, families worried about their safety, children hoping for peace, and communities trying to rebuild. In these challenging times, I urge you all to hold on to hope, to practice compassion toward those suffering, and to pray for wisdom for our world leaders. Remember, even the darkest night eventually gives way to the dawn. Until tomorrow, this is Santa Claus wishing you peace in your hearts and goodwill toward all mankind.